Chaos Nation live once again with Chaos Live, the first one for 2023. I'm Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer, pit correspondent for the series, and next to me, the highly esteemed golden vocals of David Rattan, the series announcer here on Chaos Live. David, we're that much closer to the classic, and I like it.
Man, I do. I tell you what, the little kid in me comes back out as the season gets ready to unfold, and I know from the buzz on the Facebook feeds and the social media feeds that there's a whole lot of other people that are really ready to see this season kick off. You know, when you think back to the old days of the magazine rack, and you may or may not be old enough to remember the magazine rack at the grocery store or at the bookshop. But you go to the magazines, and of course you pick up the car magazines, and whether it was Hot Rod or Carcraft or Super Stock or Motor Trend or Car and Driver, any of those, what did you do? You went to the front of the book, and you would read Rodding at Random or Straight Scoop and or Agent 1320. Everybody wanted to know what was coming up because we just could not stand it. Had to know what the latest and greatest things that were happening was going to be. And that's what our show's about tonight. Is we've got a pair of competitors that are going to make their debut in the Funny Car Chaos, Spell Paving Services Funny Car Chaos Championship Tour at the Classic. This year will be their first year in Funny Car, but they've got a lot of racing heritage. We're going to get a chance to talk about that and a whole lot more tonight, Lee. I know that you've been busy in the off season and with a whole lot of work, and I see the work that you're putting out on the YouTube channel and all across social media. How have you been?
Man, I have been doing well. It has been, yes, a busy off season, trying to get content out, trying to get caught up, frankly, with everything that life has thrown at me. No complaints, but nonetheless, there has been a lot out there on the plate. So trying to take it down one bite at a time. Isn't that what they say? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. Well, I know content-wise, you mentioned the YouTube channel, the Funny Car Chaos, the championship finals, that event, the full event recap, it is out. And Chris Graves also got out a full event recap from Nitro Chaos 3 there at Mocan Dragway. So there is plenty of content for you to see on the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel and enjoy. Matter of fact, speaking of enjoying, while you're watching, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button for us, as yes, we're going to have that preview type show here tonight with the Neals, Ricky and Michael Neal, they're going to be on, and Keith Zimmerer is going to be on as well. So we've, as David mentioned, some folks that are going to be making their Funny Car Chaos debuts upcoming very, very soon. Needs to hurry up and get here, I think, frankly. Come on, Classic. David, this I said in the impromptu interview on the Flex at the Texas Motorplex after the championship finals, because I've got these 4 funny car drivers, and my main goal is to deal with these funny car drivers, and I've got this one altered dude that's in the Flex, and I'm like, hey, you're here. Cool. This Zimmerer guy, you're very familiar with him. What do you think? What's your estimation of this guy, along with Will Hanna, coming over to the funny car ranks to compete in Funny Car Chaos? What it will be, what it will bring to the competition? Do you think it's going to shake things up?
I think it certainly has a lot of possibilities there, and I'll tell you why. I've been watching Keith race for quite some time, and that penny pincher operation, they put together some strong performances through the years in Nostalgia Eliminator 1, which is a 465 index class. But 2019 was the last year that the SHRA ran, and Keith was running in that series at the time, for several years. But he had the itch already to go fuel altered racing. and they stepped up into the Lone Star Forklift Outlaw Fuel Altered Association. 2020 was, the odd year that was affected by the COVID restrictions. And so we did get to race quite a bit, but maybe not as much as we had wanted to. But that was the year that they got their feet wet in Lone Star Forklift Outlaw Fuel Altered Association racing. Well, so they began to show some promise right there. And when you get to know Keith, you find out just a little bit that he is a person that is thinks things out. He's got his goals in mind, and once he has his goals set, then they begin to systematically work towards it on a step-by-step basis. And how did that work out? Well, they had the 2020 season in fuel altereds and made a good showing. But 2021 and 2022, not only were they racing in that extremely tough category, but they came away with back-to-back championships. And of course, we will talk about that more in depth with Keith as they are coming up on the first segment of the show. But it's already been stated, crew chief Will Hanna was made a reference back to the Top Gun series where Maverick says, "I want Viper." Well, Viper in our world would be Kirk Williams. So they're already thinking, they're not thinking about, well, maybe we're going to qualify for the Seafield and hope for the best. I think you'll find them swinging for the fences, and the fact that they have run consistently, that's a very interesting point right there, Chris. The only driver with a winning record on Keith Zimmerer is Tara Graves, which is saying something because she was a two-time champion in SHRA in E1. And so, but they've been running 380s consistently, run after run after run. You can almost set your watch by it. And so once I don't know how long it will take them to get the funny cars sorted out, but once they do, they will most definitely be a contender and someone that the rest of the field will watch out for. He may not appreciate me tipping everybody off as to how tough they might be, but they'll find out soon enough.
Yes, they will. I'm just glad that I now can call him Funny Car Dude and not Altered Dude when we get him on in just a few moments. Looking forward to having him on. He's there in the shop. The Funny Car chassis there behind him. Got a great backdrop. And then the Neals love already their shop. I need to get down there and do a shop tour because it looks like they've got a pretty fun and cool place down there from what they're hailing from the place that's got four eyes and can't see, right? Mississippi.
Yep, that's it. Just barely, but they are in Mississippi.
All right. Well, David, look, I think we need to take a break, and let's get that first guest on and talk to the guy who's going from an altered state of mind to being underneath the fiberglass or carbon fiber or whatever they're made of today at this point. Whatever's next.
All right, let's do that.
All right. Well, folks, we want to say thank you to Ed Wulff of Wulff Pumps. This show is presented by Wulff Pumps. Thank you, Wolfman, for your help for tonight's show and in Chaos Nation. Keith, welcome to Chaos Live.
Hello, how are y'all guys?
Man, we're great.
Doing really, really well. Thanks for taking the time to plug in with us tonight. Man, you guys are creating a stir out there, and probably going to be a little bit of more stir after tonight. But congratulations on joining Funny Car Chaos, but really congratulations on back-to-back championships in that Lone Star Forklift Outlaw Fuel Altered Association. How much fun were you guys having running the Fuel Altered?
Yeah, well, when you're winning, it's hard not to have fun.
That's
yeah,
right.
it was just a great group of guys and gals that ran that series. Really enjoyed it. My only regret is I didn't do it earlier. I watched it for the 24, 25 years that it ran around this area, and I wish I would have done it earlier. But really enjoyed the 2.5 years we ran with them, and very hard to complain about the results we had. It was a great time.
Now, it did not take you long to get to running near the top of the field, and quite frankly, that last this last season you had it wrapped up before going into the championship finals. Talk about the learning curve of going from what you've raced before into fuel altereds.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really sure what to expect. The one thing I had going for me, it was the same car that I ran in SHRA, so I was very comfortable in the car. I knew a 380 was going to feel a whole lot different than a 465, and pretty much the very first pass it went a 405 at like 150 or something. I lifted it like 4,500 foot. So pretty much the first pass I got to experience it. Pass 2 was a 384. So the experience happened fast, and it's amazing how fast an eighth mile goes by when you're going 100. Well, not 100, almost 200 mile an hour now. It happens fast, and it's very hard to explain to people. I get asked quite a bit, especially at work, what it feels like, and it's pretty cool. Everybody should get to experience it.
Sounds like a blast, and those quick blasts down the racetrack doesn't take long, but you probably had an ear-to-ear smile down in the shutdown area. Maybe after every run, but certainly after those first ones.
Yeah, no doubt. I was first couple passes. I was a little late on the chutes, trying to figure out what happened. It goes by so darn quick, but it didn't take long. After about past 4 or 5, it kind of felt very similar again. I would actually tell Dad and Will after about past 10 or 15, I'd have my foot all the way on the floor, looking up at the scoreboard, waiting to see that 380 pop up there. That's how comfortable it eventually got, because knock on wood, I knew it was going to go down the track. So it got very comfortable very fast.
Man, that's great. Now, you and Will seem to have some really good chemistry when it comes to running the fuel altered. So, what's the vibe like as you guys are preparing this funny car and getting ready to show up at the Classic? What's the vibe? Does it feel does it feel similar to the transition that you made before? What's it like?
Well, it feels similar. I'll say the pocketbook hurts a whole lot more. It's amazing what it costs to step up a couple tenths and run a funny car. But yeah, the vibe feels pretty similar. I mean, the preparation's the same. We laid out a pretty good plan, and we're executing the plan. And I'm not going to say we're going to come out race 1 or 2 and be at the top, but that's certainly what we're shooting for, and that's what we're preparing for. And nothing would really surprise me, but it could take several races to get it down the track, or it could go right out there and run 360s. I don't really know what to expect, but either way, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, it won't be long before we get a chance to find all that out, will it?
Hopefully less than 3-4 weeks we'll be testing. That's the plan. Hopefully we'll get out before the Classic.
Now, you and Will had history together back in Top Alcohol Dragster. Is that right? With you guys working on Shelley's Top Alcohol Dragster?
Yeah, that's right. So Will actually worked on Shelley's car before I did, and about the time I joined, which was probably 2003-ish, Will had moved on and was working with a couple of the other alcohol competitors. But yeah, that's where I met Will about 20 years ago in the alcohol pits. And anybody that runs alcohol funny car, alcohol dragster, pro mod around here probably knows Will, because he's pretty much a walking dictionary on anything top alcohol. So yeah, we had an acquaintance and knew each other, and then I hit him up 3 or 4 years ago and told him I wanted to do this deal, and we just kind of meshed with our ideas, and it worked in the altered, and I hope it works on the funny car.
Now, is that where you guys got acquainted with Cody Draper?
Yeah, it sure is. Actually, I met Cody before that. Cody and I helped IHRA actually work in races for Division 4s, where Cody and I met. And then, ironically enough, we worked at national events at the Texas Motorplex doing turnaround, wrapping chutes the fuel cars, which was a pretty good experience, pretty interesting to see. And then Cody and I kind of decided, let's go do something different. So we got hooked up with the Howard, Shelley and Paul Howard through Joe Munden, who's a friend of mine here in the Gainesville area. And we did that for 2-3 years. And then Shelley had the accident, unfortunately, where we lost Shelley and her son, Brian. And Tom Conway ended up buying all of Paul's equipment and basically kept the crew together. So it was myself and Cody and Shane Conway, which is Tom's son. And Joe hooked Tom up with Steve Torrance, which folks probably know who Steve is. And Steve drove the A fuel car that Tom owned, and we did the crew. And we had a pretty good season in 05, won the national championship in Top Alcohol Dragster. And that was a whole lot of fun. Got to fly around the U.S. to all the NHRA tracks. I don't know how many clutches I put in that A fuel car that year, but it was a whole lot because we won a whole lot. And yeah, that's where I met Will way back 20-something years ago now. It's hard to believe that time flies that fast, but it does.
Well, you talk about Gainesville, Texas, and that Gainesville, Texas connection, it runs pretty far and wide. One of your other fellow SHRA competitors now running TDRA, Doug Morrison, doing some work on this new funny car for you already.
Yep, Doug's a longtime family friend. I'm very blessed. There's a lot of really good chassis builders in the North Texas area, and I'm friends with several of them. Doug just happens to be a really close friend. He lives right here by me, and he does pretty much all my fabrication work. He does my rear ends, my transmissions, and if it wasn't for Doug, frankly, I probably wouldn't be as successful as I am because he does a really good job. Very appreciative.
Well, he has stacked championship on top of championship in first SHRA and now TDRA, so he definitely knows a lot about bending that tubing and making a race car go very well. So we've seen the posts about what's happening now. Let's go back just a little bit further because you talked about dreaming about racing fuel altereds for over 20 years. And, I go back with you as far as SHRA, but before then, we talked about the Top Alcohol Dragster, but is that where you started or did you start someplace else 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah. I started someplace else. So I grew up, my dad drag raced and always went to the races and helped him. And probably, I think I got my first car in, I don't know, I was probably 22, 23. And ironically enough, it was an altered. It was a injected big block Chevy. Bracket raced it. I had a back half door car for a while. Super comp car that Joe actually built, and sold all those and did the working on top alcohol cars for a while. And then in about 2008, pretty much stepped away until about 2016. So there's about 8 years I really didn't do a whole lot of drag racing and didn't really go to the track, and there wasn't really anything else that was fun. I couldn't find anything else that was thrilling enough. So that's when I decided I was going to get back in it and bought the altered that we had from a guy in Delaware, I think is where I went, way up in the Northeast somewhere. Ended up getting that car, and that kind of set me on the pace that I'm on now. So not sure where I'll be in 5 more years, but I'm really looking forward to this funny car deal.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what happens there. Now you've got your Taylor Motorsports product safety gear, and I've seen that One Wild Ride head pad on the roll cage. Got the race pack going in. You're keeping Will pretty busy getting the car ready, and I know everybody's really 90-0 trying to make it for the classic.
Yep. It's been really busy. Just fortunate. I'm glad we got all the parts. Knock on wood. It seems like rods are probably the hardest thing to get. The rods that are in the motor now, we ordered back in January, and very fortunate that I got 2 sets of rods. So that should get me through the year, hopefully. I got a used set I could throw in there if I really need it. But yeah, getting parts is a big deal. It's hard to do, and when you're building one of these cars, it takes a lot of parts. So the UPS guys and the FedEx guys, I think I'm personal friends with them here now.
Yeah, you're getting on a first name basis with more than one of them as they bring parts to you all the time. So you've got a really nice looking funny car, and you have some lettering that you're planning on doing before the classic.
That's the plan. I talked to the lettering shop a couple weeks ago, and just like race car parts, the lettering folks are pretty busy too. So I don't have the lettering yet, but we should have it all lettered up before the classic. It'll be same paint job that you just showed on the picture, and some rather subtle lettering on it. Penny pincher will probably be on the spill plates.
Now, tell us where that comes from. The penny pincher.
Well, I dislike spending money, but I like having a race car, so those don't mesh very well. And so when I started the Alter deal, Chris was pretty adamant about you need a name. You need a name for the car, and he does that with funny cars as well. So I wrote a bunch of names on the refrigerator here in the shop, and Penny Pincher was one of them. There's several other names, but Will happened to notice it one night when we were up here working, and he thought that was a good one. And first race we took it out, I still hadn't really picked, but turns out Will was in the tower and made the selection for me. So I heard that over the PA that the name of the car was going to be Penny Pincher. So I guess I narrowed it down to several, and Will picked it. But just comes from me not wanting to spend money. But I certainly have done the opposite of that the last several years.
Yeah, hanging on to all your money and running a race car, oil and water, it doesn't quite go together. But
No.
Man, we're glad you are investing into your racing dream and running in Funny Car Chaos after this very successful tenure in the Lone Star Forklift Outlaw Fuel Altereds. We think it's going to be just a great fit. And stay tuned for our next guest if you want to know somebody that's very capable of lettering. And I don't know if you've seen the work that they've done on the funny car that's coming to us out of Mississippi, but stay tuned for them. There's a lot of great work that comes out of the Possum Palace down there just south of Memphis. Well, man, we cannot wait to see you and Will and your crew. Who all you got working with you? Just the two of you, or have you got additional hands?
No, we're bringing one more really experienced guy in. Ricky Howell will be joining our team. Folks around the alcohol pits probably know who Ricky is, but really, really experienced person. He'll be doing the bottom end for us. But other than that, the crew will stay the same. So mom and dad, myself, Will, and then Ricky will be with us at the races as well. So try to keep it pretty simple and only work on what we have to work on and not cause ourselves problems. So hopefully it all goes smooth. We'll see.
Man, that is outstanding. So just another story of a man and a family chasing their racing dreams for a long, long time. And, with Funny Car Chaos giving people a chance to live that dream, that's one of the things that we actually live for. And getting a chance to hear it from you and from the other racers that come on the show and come on to race with us, man, it's exciting. It's exciting every time that we meet somebody and get a chance to share their story with the great folks out in Chaos Nation. Man, we appreciate you taking time to join us on the show tonight, and we appreciate what you guys are doing and bringing to the world of drag racing as we seek to elevate the sport and celebrate the successes that you're going to have.
Well, I hope you're right. I just want to really quickly, I can't list all the sponsors, but I want to tell them thank you, because without them, this would not be possible. It takes a lot to run one of these cars, and those purses certainly help offset those expenses. So I appreciate everything they do for this series.
Well, man, I appreciate that. We talked about Cody Draper, CD Trucking, still one of your supporters, and you've mentioned Morrison Performance Welding, and thanks to them, and to all of our sponsors of Chaos. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I call him the Mighty Zim. You go back to that Manfred Mann song, the Mighty, what is it? Well, anyway, he's the Mighty Zim. And you'll see the Mighty Zim at the Chaos all through the 2023 racing season. We can't wait. Thanks for tuning in, man. We will see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, take care, Keith.
All righty.
Oh, well, David, it's going to be good to see such, well, a heavy hitter in another sector of drag racing, along with Will Hanna, come into Funny Car Chaos. I'm looking forward to that shaking things up, and believe it will shake things up and will shake things up quickly. I don't think it will be in the middle of the season. I don't think it will just be 2 races in. I think it may very well be the first race in.
I know that's what they're hoping for, and they've got a track record. I mean, when you've been running 380, 381, 382, I mean, they would run between 380 and 384 almost every pass down the racetrack. 2 or 3 qualifying runs, 3 rounds of eliminations. Was not exactly what they ran, but they would do that 4 or 5 times in their 5 to 6 races in a season. So, man, they're just banging it out. Consistency, we've heard it here from who? Kirk Williams. Consistency is what wins drag races. And I think Kirk Williams knows a little bit about winning some drag races. And so, the Mighty Zim and Will Hanna, they've got consistency from their history. Now they just got to apply it to a different chassis with the body on it, and see if they can sort out all the gremlins. But like he said, they're going to be testing before they get to Ennis. Ennis is not going to be day one if everything goes the way they have it planned. But again, a very high quality team stepping into the fray in Spell Paving Services Funny Car Chaos Racing in 23.
For sure. It's going to be good. It's going to be good because they're not the only ones. I mean, we've got the Neals coming on in a moment, which will be competing. And you never know who right now is under the radar, is slipping under, and is going to pre-enter. And Chris hasn't told us quite yet, and we haven't announced it quite yet. You just never know who might show up at the Classic. And I love how this Classic, because frankly, there are other Funny Car Classics out there, but in my opinion, this is at the moment, and to be the Funny Car Classic, even if it is particularly branded with Funny Car Chaos, that happens at the Texas Motorplex. It's the place to be in Funny Car, the Funny Car Kingdom, if you will. It is the place to be. And, well, for all of you out there, March 16th through the 18th at the Texas Motorplex, you can also go ahead and get your tickets. You can get them now, and you can work towards reserving that room and getting that rental car or hitchhiking, whatever you want to do to get to Funny Car Chaos, because it's certainly, as Wayne Hoffman had it, Funny Car Chaos or bust. And you just have to go to the Texas Motorplex website, and right there, as you go to the first landing page, it's going to say, get tickets for what? The Funny Car Chaos Classic. Get them, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to make sure you do that. Lee, watching the feed on the Funny Car Chaos Facebook page, you see all these cars for sale. One of them that just came on to the feed was the evil, wicked, mean, and nasty Mach 1 Mustang from California of our sponsor, Dennis Taylor of Taylor Motorsports Products. That is a showpiece, but it's also a go piece of a funny car. So somebody may be snapping that one up and talk about something it's turnkey. It's ready to go racing right now. So somebody that wants to go racing that way, that's not the only one. There's some other great cars out there that just continue to show up for sale. And of course, we've had so many people at the Classic and through the season the last several years. We're pushing 100 folks that have raced, and who might we see add their names to the list? 36 cars, I think, the last time I looked, already pre-entered, and we know there's a bunch more that just haven't pulled the trigger and let everybody else know that they're coming. So anticipating, I saw one of our Chaos Nation fans saying he was anticipating 80 funny cars at this Classic event. I hope you're right. And we'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, Scotty Wilson there with Bucket List to see the entire season. Greatest funny car show on earth. Thank you. We agree, Scotty. We absolutely do. So cars aplenty being made available, and an interest with racers wanting to run them. Because why? Because they have a place to run now, and that is Funny Car Chaos. So 9 races on the schedule. Can hardly wait to get there. And, we've got one more guest coming up here tonight with an awful lot to talk about. We have the friends, our friends from Mississippi, that are going to be running another new funny car in Chaos competition. So here in a little while, we'll have the Possum Killer and Toad coming your way as we continue with Chaos Live Episode 1 of 2023.
What can 360 Steel do for you? We make custom steel products made right here in Illinois. Fire pits of all kinds, knockdown styles to take along anywhere. Hold your drinks high with our drink stands while throwing horseshoes or bags. We have a complete line of military to firefighter signs, flags, hats, stickers, and more, along with many styles of decor. Welcome signs and custom clocks to a number of different monograms and signs. Personalized, custom options for your perfect sign. Bare steel or powder coated to last indoors and outdoors. 360steel.com. Spell it out. 360steel.com.
All right, as it says, they're live from the Possum Palace. We've got Michael and Ricky Neal, and what a beautiful, beautiful collection of shop y'all have down there in Mississippi. That's man, got to make a pilgrimage out to that place, it looks like already.
Yeah, thank you.
I highly recommend it, my friend. I highly recommend it. Welcome, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us tonight. We have been so anxious to hear the story of the Burn and Love Funny Car from your perspective. And for those that don't know, I got an opportunity to go to the Possum Palace and spend some time down there. And 2 hours passed about like that. And I didn't even get to see a tenth of what there is to see down there. I was so enthusiastic about my trip there, and Ricky was a gracious host. So I really appreciate that opportunity. Guys, we feature a lot of American craftsmen with American-made products in the Funny Car Chaos Championship Tour. And I know that both of you guys are all about that American-made, American craftsman-produced items, because you do it day in and day out in your profession and with your shop there. Tell the fans out there in Chaos Nation a little bit about your history, and we'll take that on into the production of that funny car sitting behind you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I started myself. It's all I ever wanted to do my whole life. I started painting cars when I was 14 years old, and of course I'm 60 now, so I'll give you an idea how long I've been doing it. And Michael just kind of fell into it. We were just a hot rod family. We've always had hot rods. Most of our vacations in life were built around going to a rod run. And so we grew up with that. And then Michael raced BMX. He started that when he was real young, and we traveled and did that. And then he got old enough, he wanted something with a motor in it. And we started building his first race car when he was 14, and he got his license, I think, on a Monday or Tuesday. And that Friday night we were at Test and Tune, and we've been driving a race car ever since. So we're just a racing and hot rod family that we build our life around it. And as you saw, the Possum Palace is full of all kinds of junk and archives, that just things that we've collected over the years, but that's just what we're about. And Michael runs a shop, a regular body shop. That's what he does. He runs a shop, and then I work here on my own, with my own shop.
Yeah. So Michael, you've been a champion in BMX. Is that right?
That's right.
Tell us about that history.
We did the old pedal power for quite a few years. I could say for about 4 or 5 years, we kind of did the national tour, the Southeast, the Midwest. In 2003, won a national championship. So we went hard at that. And I'm telling you, I can't think of a better way to grow up. That's such a great sport to learn as a kid. You're not on a team, but it's like a team atmosphere. It's a great family of people in that sport. And it was a good way to grow up and taught me a lot to transition into drag racing. Of course, we've always been in racing in one form or another before I was old enough to even think about racing anything. Dad was racing dirt cars. So we've always had some kind of race car or racing going in the family. So I wouldn't change it, though. It's no better way to grow up.
Man, I tell you, I had so much fun talking with your dad about, when I lived down there, we probably crossed paths a time or two at a racetrack or something. And of course, didn't know each other back then, but we got a chance to talk about some of those racetracks down in your part of the country. Some are still there and some are not. But, of course, Lakeland was one from back when your dad and I were younger. And, of course, Byhalia, I think, is still open. And Memphis may be gone. And Holly Springs and Myrtle and Blue Mountain Dragway and Fulton. And, there's plenty of racing that's done right up there in Southwest Tennessee and North Mississippi. I guess you guys have spent some time at a few of those tracks.
Oh man, have we? Byhalia Raceway especially is owned by Mike Franks, who's one of the best people you'll ever know. He also owns Fulton Dragway, and that's where I learned to race. Byhalia Raceway. That's where I learned to drag race every Saturday night, all through high school. We didn't miss a weekend. We were there every Saturday night. Yeah. In fact, probably my favorite drag racing story ever. When me and my wife got married in 2007, we were bracket racing every weekend. I didn't have a dime for nothing. I was making about $10 an hour working at a parts store, and we won $3,000 races in a row, and I got to go on a honeymoon. So the wife doesn't complain about drag racing because we got a honeymoon out of it. Yeah.
Man, that's a sweet story, and that gets you the opportunity to go back and see if you can win another one. That's a great story, Toad. Well, we talked about going over to Fulton. I pulled into Fulton. I'd never been to Fulton, Mississippi in my life, but we pulled into the old downtown where it's got cut off now by the 10-tom. And doggone, there's an 18-wheeler there and Carlton Frank's underdog funny car in Fulton, Mississippi. I was like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever.
Mr. Carlton was the man. He was something else.
Such a great family, and every aspect of the phrase, a racing family.
That's right.
Yeah, running racetracks and racing, and it was just some kind of cool to have that experience. Now, you guys have had so many cars. You produce street rods, hot rods, race cars. And, of course, a lot of people, we got acquainted with you guys. I think the first time was at MoCan, wasn't it? When we probably 18, you guys came up and ran with our great friends, the Dirty South Gassers. And, of course, y'all do that a lot and run with Southern Outlaw Gassers and have that hybrid family, the Dirty Southern Outlaw Gassers group.
Right.
That's it.
Talk about a group to hang around with that. And the Funny Car Chaos fans know it. I mean, there's nobody going to the bathroom when the Gassers show up, because you guys, and you two I'm talking about in particular, fit in very well as bringing the show with the uniforms and the race cars and the showmanship and the dry hops and all that kind of stuff. How did you guys get started with those cars?
You want to take it? Okay. Well, it actually started. I built a little 6-cylinder powered front engine dragster. It's just kind of a fun project that I did. And in the midst of all that, Mike Franks come to us and he says, "Hey man, I got a little Fiat altered that my dad, Mr. Carlton, actually drove at one time. And would y'all be interested in it?" And so, man, first time we saw it, it was like, okay, yeah, we got to have it. So we actually built that, and Michael was driving it, and we were looking for a ramp truck, and we met Michael found a guy on Facebook that had a ramp truck for sale, and it ended up being Jesse Holmes, who runs the Southern Outlaw Gassers. And we met him halfway in Meridian, Mississippi, and brought the ramp truck home, restored it. And he started telling us about their show down there. And so we loaded the dragster on a single axle trailer behind the ramp truck and put the Fiat on the back. And we went and raced with those guys. And we did that 3 times and decided we got to have a gasser. We want to run with the main show. And so end up selling those cars and purchased Dixie, the Anglia, the blown Anglia that we were running. And Michael just he loves the short wheelbase cars. He likes that feel of driving by the seat of his pants, and he likes them to be a little twitchy, as he says. But that got us started, and then that carried into starting to run with the Funny Car Chaos series. And we have been dreaming our whole life. You know, it's a dream you dream that you don't really think can ever come true, but you dream it anyway because it's the ultimate goal is to have a funny car. And as we started running with the Chaos guys, as I guess you could say maybe the filler field between teardown rounds, we started hanging out and talking to Jordan and Russell Ballou and Mike Buchanan and Todd Barker. And Todd, we got to know Todd from his Anglia that he was running a little bit. And we thought, man, this might be attainable for us. And so we just started doing some research and gathering up stuff. And then the decision for us was the only way we can do this is sell Dixie. And it took us about a year to make that decision. And we finally sold Dixie and reinvested that and into a funny car. And fortunately, we had 2 bodies in mind, one a Nova or a Monza. And Jordan Blue's old Nova come up for sale. And we purchased it, and we were on our way.
That was kind of like losing a member of the family, wasn't it, having to part with Dixie?
Definitely, it was not easy. Like we said, it took us a good year to decide, okay, what's deeper in us, running Dixie, having Dixie, or going funny car racing. And so we eventually chose funny car racing because ever since I was old enough to know what a funny car was, that's all I've ever wanted to do. So it's a dream that we could have never thought about chasing until Chris Graves and Funny Car Chaos came along.
That's right.
And in fact, the first Funny Car Chaos race we were at was at Mocan when Jordan almost turned over the Blue Thunder on the center line there, and then we end up owning that car. So that's kind of wild, but it's the funny car life. It all comes full circle.
Well, we can look over your shoulder and see that car, and it has a different look now than it did. And, one of the things that our fans have just been raving about is the step-by-step, the blow-by-blow, you guys bringing that car in and taking it from what it looked, the solid blue that it was, and going from that to what we're looking at right now. And Ricky, I'm telling you, when you come on and you explain those techniques, that got some other people's attention, didn't it? Isn't it? There may be a video series coming out on one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's on me to try to start a YouTube channel and start explaining some of these processes. I mean, I grew up, admiring, Larry Watson, Ed Roth, all the if you want to say it, the psychedelic paint years. And I've always done a lot of that type paint work and metal flake work. And so we just thought it'd be kind of cool to show everybody how the process, people don't realize what a long, drawn out process it can be when you're laying that many colors and gold leaf and everything. But it ended up, man, it was a big hit. And so we're looking into doing some of that, but it takes a lot of your time to do it also. And I work by myself. So we're going to figure it out. We may do some little short series and not make it a full-time deal, but we're going to do some more stuff coming up.
Well, I know that you're going to have people coming over to your pit area and admiring the work and asking questions. So may not be a video series, but you will certainly get a lot of one-on-one time with people who aspire to have the craftsmanship that you have mastered over the years. You and Toad both have a real sense of the old-time craftsmanship and actually knowing what you're doing and doing it well because you choose to. not because not taking the slow, inexpensive, cheap way. You guys actually take the time to learn the craft and to do it right. And I really admire that, and I think a lot of people do too. Now, you guys would you spend a year with the ramp truck racing the old school way?
Yeah.
Talk about that, guys.
Yeah. So we went out on that journey. I'd say it was around 2017, I think, 2017, I believe it was. We decided we were going to run a whole year and do it the way they did it in the 70s. No hotels, no fancy stuff. We had a sleeper on the back of the ramp truck. So we kind of made Dad a bed out of the back seat, and I slept in the sleeper. And we were offered free hotels many times because people felt sorry for us when it was 120 degrees in the pits and we were sleeping in the truck. But that's how we wanted to do it, and we did it. And we had some adventures along the way. We went to Atmore for one event and broke axle on the trailer and had to go to the track and drop the race car off and come back and drag the trailer back on the ramp truck and find a welder and weld it back together. So we did it the way they did it in the 70s, and it was rough, but wouldn't trade it for nothing. It was an adventure.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It really was. But don't get me wrong, I'm really thankful for the trailer we have now with air conditioner on it and a bed up in the nose. It was a great experience, but I don't know that I want to live it all over again.
But I tell you what, we learned out of it is appreciation for how those guys lived, running the road in the 70s, racing 3 or 4 times a night and living in them ramp trucks. Those guys were all in.
Yeah,
they were all in.
Well, that is fascinating, and that gives you something that, when one of the things that has happened since the very first Funny Car Chaos race is those guys that we used to read about in the magazines, Nelson Carter, Richard Tharp, and just a whole bunch of others. Dale Emery, of course, he's no longer with us, but we've had those guys, and they come to the races. And one of these days, we're going to get Kogo Eads to show up at one of these races. But you guys actually live what they did back then because you chose to do it in 2017. Man, that is stories for days, and that is old school funny car racing in the 21st century, and you guys did it. Man,
it is a little nerve-wracking to get down through the South in an old ramp truck that don't go with about 90 miles on a tank of gas.
Yeah.
You're sweating it out trying to find a station, but hey, that's part of it.
The cost of racing is expensive, but
That's
when
right.
y'all were doing that, the cost of getting to the races was pretty high dollar, huh?
Yeah, sure was.
So you've put the car, you've got the car work going, you've got it painted up, you've got an engine. Tell us about the process. You got some rear Morrison horsepower that you're going to put into it. You've got Ronnie Giesland is doing some work with you guys. Some of your friends there in North Mississippi. Bring us up to speed.
We've got a 565 cubic inch, big block Chevrolet, a rare Morrison engine. Our great friend Ronnie Gies and his son Casey. Without them, actually, we would not be able to take this step. They've been running a front engine dragster, actually run at Texas, at Ennis with us. And
beautiful dragster.
We're running almost identical setups. So that's going to help us try to get our learning curve sped up just a little bit. Ronnie's an excellent tuner, and he's going to have to help me get up to speed and Toad get up to speed because this is a big step for us. I mean, we're moving into computers and stuff that we've always, tuned by the seat of our pants, and we're able to do that. But this is a big step for us, and it's a learning curve. But Ronnie's going to run with us. In fact, they've got them a funny car, and it's almost complete, and they're going to be running with us also. And Ronnie and I have known each other almost 40 years. Casey, his son, and Michael grew up together playing in the dirt at the rod runs that we all went to, and they're lifelong friends. And so we've always had a dream of being able to race together, but they were racing in a different series than we were, a different type car. And so not only the dream of us running a funny car, but getting to run it with our best friends it's just going to be a great adventure. We're really excited about it.
Man, I tell you what, this is kind of what we alluded to earlier, is that there's enthusiasm, excitement building for this 2023 season with new teams, new cars, and lots of new friends and folks stepping up. Man,
this is kind of like when I was at your place, man. The time goes by so quickly. I could just listen to you guys and talk with you guys for a long, long time. But we do appreciate you taking time out of your night to share with us what's going on down there at the Possum Palace. And I came away from that experience, Ricky, and it's like people show up around Memphis to go to Graceland, but that's just because they don't know about the Possum Palace, man. You got the coolest place around, and it is.
We're only 15 minutes from Graceland, man. If you're here, just give me a buzz and come on by.
Well, dreams do come true when you work to make them come true, and these two gentlemen right here are absolutely a living example that you can have your dream if you chase it hard enough and you want it bad enough. Gentlemen, we cannot wait to see that funny car in action at Texas Motorplex, Ennis, Texas in March. And thank you again for spending some time with us and for all the enthusiasm that you bring. This is going to be fun.
If I can just say one thing about the whole series, what Chris and you, David, and Lee, what y'all put together with this series. I've been drag racing my whole life, and I've never been a part of anything as great as this series. And this is not an exaggeration. Every time we go to an event, I get chills walking through the stage lanes.
Right.
It is just so awesome. Every group of people that race in that series, that help with that series, are the best of the best. Will help anybody with anything.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine a better group to race with. Y'all are doing a fantastic job. We want to say thank you to y'all.
Thank y'all.
Man, we appreciate you saying that. That is very, very kind, and that's exactly what we're working for. Is we want to be the place that people want to come, and especially people like you guys. So, man, thanks a lot. Get back to work on that hot rod, man. We want to make sure it's ready to rumble.
We're thrashing, but I think we're gonna make it, but we're thrashing.
All right, good deal. Ladies and gentlemen, from Walls, Mississippi, and the Possum Palace, the Possum Killer and Toad. A lot of times they don't go by their given names, but thank you very much for tuning in with us on Chaos Live here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all.
Yeah, man.
If you can race it, chances are we make a piston or connecting rod for it. Oh, we have about 4,000 to 5,000 different part numbers on the shelf for connecting rods and pistons. So about half of what we sell comes right off the shelf, and the other half is custom-made parts. I am a firm believer in distribution and everybody getting their cut, doing their job, and getting rewarded for it. So we'll see how that goes in the future.
Well, David, three great guests technically, and we have so much to look forward to with this upcoming 2023 season, and Chaos just seems to keep getting better and better. You wonder how could it get better, but it just does keep getting better and better. And, well, I know we've talked a lot about Funny Car Chaos and the Funny Car guys, but there's a lot to talk about on the Nitro Chaos side of things as well. 2023 going to be the first year for a 4-race championship run under the Nitro Chaos banner, kicking off at Edgewater Motorsports Park, and that's going to be April 28th, 29th. Big news that Scott Palmer, he's going to be the Grand Marshal at the Nitro Chaos Mocan edition. And wow, what a great lineup of cars that we have already seen, David, that have made announcements that they are going to make their debut or they are going to run. You know, we're familiar with guys like Mr. Mighty Mouse and the Back in Black Funny Car. You've got Psycho 2. Oh, I wonder sometimes, like, okay, why haven't you showed up to Funny Car Chaos? But we can expect Bluegrass Thunder to be at Nitro Chaos. And then, David, I didn't know there was another nitro burning door slammer out there beyond Studezilla and the Chevelle that runs around with Scott Palmer. But there it is.
Yeah, that was a new one on me too. But hey, the more the merrier. Bring it on.
These guys, BD Malloy, what a interesting combination they have. Front engine dragster injected, and good buddy of mine. He helps with the crew. He's just east of Buffalo, New York, and Mr. Hilton has also thrown his hat into the ring. So Nitro Chaos, the momentum is certainly building there as well. And what we have in store for that and Funny Car Chaos, again, it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, I've been, to use the slang term, I've been geeking out about Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos, and looking at the schedule and seeing how we're crisscrossing the country, and the people that are stepping up and already saying, "I'm coming." They're taking that phrase of Deion Sanders, "We coming," and they letting everybody know we coming to Nitro Chaos and to Funny Car Chaos. Man, it's 12 weekends, 13 races, because we've got the Eddyville event, which is going to be Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos on the same weekend. Holy smoke! Talk about an event for the ages. If you haven't already gotten that one on your schedule for May 26, 27, and 28, make sure you get that there. The first time that we've ever doubled them up, and we've had fuel altereds and Funny Car Chaos before, but this has the potential to be all kinds of extra special. You were showing that pro mod a while ago, Andy Fangman, and so he's another one that's we talked about there. But the sponsors have stepped up. DMP Awnings is coming on as the title sponsor for our Nitro Chaos Championship Series, and it's just been wonderful the way things. Sometimes you wonder why things happen. You're looking backwards and you go, "Oh, that's why that happened." And we've kind of experienced some of that at the end of 22 and now at the first of 23, because a few things happened and fell into place and fell out of place and created the opportunity for that fourth event. Chris had always said that if he could get 4 races, that'd be a series for Nitro Chaos. Well, looky here. Spoke it into existence, and now we've got our first championship tour for Nitro Chaos coming around in 2023, and we're going into, of course, our 5th season with a championship tour in Funny Car Chaos. 7th year there's been one, but the 5th championship tour. So, man, this has got great year written all over it, and we're getting ready to celebrate that 2022 season coming up this Saturday, and it's going to be at the Buffalo Run Casino at Casino and Resort at Miami, Oklahoma. That is how you say it, Miami, Oklahoma. And it's going to be in the Peoria Showplace there. Kicks off at Saturday at 4:30 with happy hour, followed by dinner and awards presentation where we will honor our top 10 and a lot of specialty awards coming up too for this particular weekend. So if you can make it out there, I don't know if any tickets are still available, but you can certainly check. And we will be having a grand time this weekend. Won't be any racing going on, but there'll be a lot of bench racing going on, and we will be celebrating the 2022 championship tour of Funny Car Chaos by passing out goodies and anticipating what's going to be coming our way coming up soon. So this is the first Chaos Live of 2023. We'll be back on your calendar soon with 1 or 2 Chaos Lives in February as we get ourselves headed right into the racing season, which will kick off at the Texas Motorplex March 16th through the 18th. I hope you've got your plans made. This is really going to be something, Lee. I just cannot get more excited about what's going on. And every time I say that, next time I'm a little bit more excited, because it's like Toad said, man, this just keeps getting better.
Well, David, I'll continue the usage of sayings from Deion Sanders, and that Funny Car Chaos may very well be considered this year prime time with all that is going on. And David, I hope that from the banquet, look, I hope everybody has a good time. I hope everybody is celebrated and recognized, and I hope all of that happens. But you know what I hope the most? I hope from the banquet that Chris Graves has material just like he had through most of last year of call outs made for qualifying and money on the line. That's what the banquet needs to set up. Money on the line and call outs in qualifying at the Classic. We need to see it. So you're going to be there, David. It's on you. Okay. You work that out.
Let's see if we can stir that pot just a little bit.
For sure. For sure. Well, David, anything else?
Man, I can talk chaos all night long, but I think we'll give the best. Chris Butcher is ready. And I was thinking of Chris John and with Larry. And I know that Larry Reyes spent some time in a ramp truck doing what Ricky and Toad did, so they would certainly have something in common. And of course, Reyes is from Memphis, so they're in the same locality. But I think that's going to do it for tonight, Lee. Man, what a privilege to spend an hour with you and these great guests, and get things on the road for 2023 for what will be an awesome chaos season, both Funny Car Chaos and NIOS. Can't wait to see you for the next one.
Everyone, keep it chaotic.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you.